Good morning, everyone. Today I'm so grateful to have you guys here. Me, Tam Samanadat, and my teammate, Ms. Watana, will be presenting a lot of interesting information related to a country in Southeast Asia, which is the Philippines. Without further ado, let's get started. In this video, there will be 8 main points that we are focusing on. I will start by getting to know some basic information about the Philippines. Then I'm going to talk about the political system, military and defense, and economy of the Philippines. The rest of the main points, including cultural, religious, social practice, geographical features, diplomatic relations, and current issues, will be presented by my friends Watana in detail. So, let's start with some basic information about Philippines. The Philippines is known as the Republic of the Philippines with a population of around 109 million. People use Filipinos and English as their main languages and communications. Its capital city is Manila, which is located on Luzon, the largest island in the Philippines. The Philippines is an archipelago country that consists of around 7,640 islands, covered approximately 300,000 square kilometers, including the inland water area. This country has a tropical and maritime climate characterized by its high temperature, high humidity, and abundant rainfall. There are 3 seasons in the Philippines. The hot, dry, or summer season starts from March to May, followed by the rainy season, which starts in June, prolonging till November. After the rainy season, the cool, dry season falls from December to February. After knowing some basic information about the Philippines, let's get to know more about its political system. In the Philippines, democracy is practiced across the country. It has 3 government branches, such as legislative, executive, and judicial branches. The Philippines has 1 president that is elected by the people, and each president can hold their place for 6 years. President in the Philippines serve as the heads of the state and the heads of government. Currently, the ruling parties in the Philippines is PDP-11, which leads by the current president Rodrigo Duterte. Besides the political system, this country also has its own military and defense force. Its military force is called AFP, or Armed Force of the Philippines. It has 3 services branches, such as the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. Their president is also the commander-in-chief too. The defense force of this country costs $3,733 million. The Philippines has many alliances, including the UN, FAO, ILO, UNESCO, WHO, ASEAN, and many more. This country has faced some disputes, both territorial and maritime. There are also some civil clashes that happens in this country too. There is the clash between the communists and the Philippines government, the clash between MILF, and the military, and the clash between the military and the jihadist group. Last but not least, we can't forget to mention this country's economy. It has a GDP of $433.180 billion, making it ranked 3rd in Asia and 32nd in the world. There are 3 important sectors in this country, such as services, agriculture, and industry. Among the 3 major sectors, agriculture is the major source of income for the Philippines. When we talk about major trading partners of this country, there are lots of them. There are the USA, Japan, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Singapore, Thailand, South Korea, Germany, and Indonesia. In the next point, my teammate Watana will talk more about the Philippines' cultural, religious, and social practice. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Swannarat. Philippines is a wonderful country. The people of Philippines, just like many other countries, are not made out of a single group of people, but many groups of indigenous people who has been there for centuries. The majority of Filipinos are lowland Austronesian, and the official spoken languages are Philippines, and English. As for poverty rate, according to the official information from the government of Philippines, they estimated around 4.24 million families live in poverty, or 18% in the first semester of 2021. The literacy rate is great in Philippines. According to the Education and Mass Media Survey in 2019, there are there are about 91.6% of Filipinos from the age of 10 to 64, which is around 73 million people, who are considered functional literacy. As for, major religions in Philippines, Christianity is the only major religion. Most Filipinos are Christian. Philippines has some notable geographical features. Philippines is a country that is made up of islands and is situated in Southeast Asia. Philippines' neighbors are Malaysia in the southwest, Indonesia in the south, Vietnam in the west, and China in the north. They all share maritime borders with Philippines. In some parts of Philippines, water supplies are more often scarred. Water supplies get cut off often to preserve capacity for later uses, of course. People often have to use other water resources, which often aren't safe to use and could lead to infection from disease or of disease. There are some environmental concerns. Philippines is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, and thus is prone to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and typhoons. Other environmental concerns are pollution, illegal mining, logging, fishing, and hunting, and of course climate change, of course. Philippines is abundant of many valuable minerals such as gold, copper, chromate, and silver, and other minerals. Philippines' foreign policy is to be seen or maybe try to be friends with everyone. Philippines is actively engaged with Asian members with intention of strengthening regional harmony. Their relation with European Union is or are diplomatic, cultural, and political. So do their relation with the United Nations. Philippines is trying to stay on good terms with everyone, and that's mean including the superpower countries or major powers. They consider themselves as an US ally, but they are also getting closer to China. In the current days, if you if you mainly choose and often talk about things that involve politics, of course, and the ongoing war on drugs, which is absolutely brutal to both parties or both sides. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you everyone for coming and paying your attention to this presentation. Thank you. Goodbye.